I'm just a bill, yes I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long week while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be along. Yeah, and I hope and pray that I'll but today
This is Bill Scher on the Liberal Oasis radio show, WHMP News, Information, and the Arts. Great to be with you. A few days before our favorite Christian holiday. But the big news this week, I believe, is Obama's choice of pastor for the inauguration, the religious right figure Rick Warren. We're going to talk more about that in the second half of our show with author and religious right expert Frederick Clarkson, editor of the new book Dispatches from the Religious Left. The only comment I have, regardless of my general distaste for Rick Warren, which is shared by liberals everywhere, I believe, I am struck a little bit by the prioritization that's being put on this. In many ways, Rick Warren's selection is symbolic. I think there are some substantive impacts. We'll talk about that more with Frederick Clarkson. But there are some big things that are going to be happening in Congress very soon, and I'm a little concerned that we're not fully keeping our eye on that ball. That doesn't mean you got to drop your eye off of Pastor Warren. But for example, we're attempting to have a massive economic recovery plan to be passed on day one of the Obama administration. The Obama team is talking now of it being an $850 billion 2-year public investment program. That's a slightly less than what my organization, Campaign for America's Future, has put out. We've talked about $900 billion being a floor, a minimum of what you need to do. But these are very large numbers, and you're starting to see the outlines of the conservative attack on this. Mark Amberner, who blogs at The Atlantic, had said, look for conservatives to cherry pick out a few small, seemingly objectionable items that would be, a grain of sand in the larger proposal, and then blow them up and try to make the whole package seem distasteful on the basis of that. We just saw this week the first serious blow in that direction. It was actually levied by CNN, carrying the water for the right-wing group, the National Taxpayers Union. They looked at, and I blogged about this at Campaign for America's Future, ourfuture.org. They took the U.S. mayor's request. The U.S. mayor's put out an infrastructure plan of $73 billion. Here are all the shovel-ready projects that we have that we request that the Obama administration include in an economic recovery plan. So this report is literally one-line descriptions of these various projects, and they're largely things like water treatment plans, mass transit, things of that repairs, things of that nature. But you can find a handful of things that on its face look silly. So CNN does a report leaning on the National Taxpayers Union. It talks about things like museums and zoos. Water park ride in Miami is the one they really harped on. They always lump in bike pass, but of course bike pass are essential transportation alternatives, so we can reduce our fossil fuel use and have healthy ways to commute to work. And there are very inexpensive projects to boot, yet those always get held up as being some sort of egregious kind of pork. And so they take all this and they say there are over $300 million of pork projects like this in this mayoral request. But it's a $73 billion request. So it's literally, this is after their intense investigation, it's literally 0.5% of this of this proposal that they consider to be inappropriate. And this is not even doing with any actual investigation. They really harp on this water park in Miami. Well, having an inexpensive water park for kids may be something that is important to keep families in Miami. It might help raise property values. It might be a tourism boost. I don't know. And CNN doesn't know. And the National Taxpayers Union doesn't know because there wasn't any actual investigation of this thing. And what Obama has talked about and what my group has talked about is having an infrastructure bank to have a independent panel of people that review these projects and determine their value based on the merits. So it's not done in a pork barrel political way. And having this sort of drive-by journalism, McCain was, the master of this. Oh, we're spending millions of dollars on bear DNA. I don't know if that's a paternity suit or a criminal problem. Well, of course, that was actually a very important study to make sure that we're keeping our ecosystems sound. But you can always pluck these things out and make them sound ridiculous. So we're going to see more and more of this. As we get close, Congress is going to get sworn in on January 6th. They're going to get right to work. This is going to be their first bill. And you already see the Obama people, they told the New York Times on Friday, trying to tamp down expectation that they can get this done on day one of their swearing in on January 20th because of the delays and obstruction they can expect from the conservative minority. Well, it's going to be easier for those guys to delay and obstruct if we're not winning the public opinion battle leading into this. As I mentioned last week, we lost the public opinion battle in regards to unions as we debated an automobile maker rescue plan. And so instead of having a very robust rescue plan that was really going to insist upon a green car strategy and ensure that we're going to have 1 million plug-in hybrids on the road in short order, we had to defend the union bashing that's going on. Even in the plan that Bush put out there, it still tries to put the screws on unions, although I believe those are non-binding screws that Obama can unscrew. But it goes to show that if we don't have our ducks lined up, if we're not making our arguments in a coordinated way, just because Obama's going to be president, just because there is a majority of Democrats in Congress, does not automatically mean you win the arguments. Doesn't automatically mean that you can stop the obstructions, that you can dislodge the obstructions, prevent bills from being watered down. So as important as marginalizing people like Rick Warren, we do not want religious right figures like Rick Warren to be christened America's pastor and defining what Christianity means in the country and having them have disproportionate influence on our politics. But there are other issues that are very imminent. They're not symbolic at all. They're extremely tangible. And if we're not focusing on those things, we're going to get in a lot of trouble very quickly.